Joining us now is California Attorney General Rob Bonta. Attorney General, thank you so much for joining California Politics 360.
Thanks for having me, Ashley. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. So, Mr. Attorney General, what was your first thought when you heard about what happened to Charlie Kirk?
Oh, it was terrified, disgusted, shocked, and scared for and concerned deeply for where we are, and saddened for his loved ones, for his, this is a man who, with a wife, children. Children can never hug dad again. His wife never hold his hand again, and his loved ones will never be able to hug him again or enjoy his presence, his company, his love. And so I saw it at a human level, and as a dad myself, a husband myself, someone in politics and who's chosen public life myself. I felt sad, shocked, and dismayed. And this vile, disgusting act is obviously unacceptable, something we can never have. And Charlie Kirk should be alive. And Charlie Kirk should be able to say his views, whatever they are, even if people don't agree with them.
We've heard about these instances nationally. Sometimes we hear about threats at the state level, sometimes at the local level. Is your office tracking data on political violence and threats?
We're tracking some in California. I think there's other sources for some of the federal data on political violence, and I know that there's some folks who are saying that we're at a height or close to a height for political violence. I don't know what the data shows, but I do know what I feel, and I do know what I think many Americans feel right now is that whatever the data is, the political violence is unacceptable. We're seeing it too often. It's wrong. It can't continue. The temperature has gotten too hot and the environment too toxic, and we need to take the temperature down.
Mr. Attorney General, you mentioned taking the temperature down. I mean, what solutions specifically are you referencing? I mean, do you think that both political parties, including the Democratic Party, which you're a part of, could they do a better job of turning that temperature down?
I think it's important to all understand that we have a role to play. And how we discuss issues, and I don't want to be misunderstood. I think passion is important. People are pushing to advance our society and taking on issues that have touched their lives or touched the lives of their loved ones, and they should feel the passion in their work to create change, create justice, create opportunity, create equity, whatever it is. But we can't engage in violence and or incite actual violence. And I just want to be clear: there's figures of speech that people use. I use them sometimes, and if we're all being adults here, they're figures of speech. They are not incitements to violence. Like saying you're going to fight fire with fire means you're going to meet the threat with an equal response and do it through peaceful means, like putting something on the ballot that people can vote on using the democratic process. It doesn't mean you're going to engage in arson, obviously, but I think we should all be calling out violence, no matter the party of the victim or the party of the perpetrator. We should not weaponize this into being something it's not, and turning it into a bludgeon or a cudgel to beat up the other party somehow. I think that is actually disrespectful to Charlie Kirk and his life and legacy, to use his murder as a way to advance and your predetermined political goals. I don't think that's right. I think. But I do think that there's a role to play here collectively for those who are engaged in public life and public debate and in deliberation to recommit to peaceful deliberation and to acknowledging and recognizing and always doubling down on the fact that there's a line in the sand. It's violence, and we can never cross it and never engage in any type of violence or incite violence.
All right. Mr. Attorney General, we thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.